Hello everyone and welcome back to yet another video. So I know the title of this video is a big frontrunner for the most generic name of a critique video ever, but rather than torture myself with finding another title that fits the subject just as perfect, I decided to just go with the generic one instead. I know full well that you have to try and stand out from the crowd in the garbage-filled sea that is the YouTube gaming community. And this video, as a result of me not even trying to do that, will only have around 20 views. But screw it, it's my video after all, and it fits the point I'm gonna be trying to make perfectly, because it illustrates my feelings about Hand of Fate, which I love as much as I hate. But alas, we're getting ahead of ourselves. So for those of you who don't know, Hand of Fate is a roguelike card game with RPG elements that was released to critical acclaim on Steam in 2015. It's one of those game descriptions that makes the game seem incredibly complicated until you actually see it in action. In practice, you build a deck of combat and RNG encounters that is then used as the game board that your character has to traverse. Once you land on a card, you have to interact with it, and often it includes combat, which if lost will end the run. If won, you get rewards in the form of gear, gold and food, which is the currency needed to heal and keep moving on the board. The purpose of going through these encounters is three-parted. Firstly, you want to gear your character up. Secondly, you have to go through these encounters to reach the level's final boss. Thirdly, they unlock more cards for you to put in your deck and encounter in your next run. There are many more levels to this system that I could go over: the relic system, the curse system, and the multi-level story encounters that progress as you go through them. And were this a normal video of mine, I would do just that. I could also describe the game's mysterious and interesting atmosphere in detail and how it brings the game's universe to life through the dealer's dialogue and movements. And were this a normal video of mine, I would do that also. But alas, this isn't a normal video of mine. Today I want to have a discussion about RNG in games, specifically in games where the stakes are high and the element of randomness can destroy hours of progress, with your skill having just as much to say in the outcome as the British monarchy has in contemporary politics. I want to use Hand of Fate as an example because it both uses RNG very well and incredibly poorly. Hand of Fate is littered with RNG, and to be fair, it does make a lot of sense in the context you're given. You're at the end of the world playing the game of life and death, with a deal that intentionally tries to mess with you and screw you over. So of course, you expect not to have an easy ride completing the game. Hand of Fate expresses the dealer's ill will against you in two ways: random encounters added by the dealer, and RNG rolls on most encounters. Now the random encounters I get. The dealer drops in a few combat encounters with multiple choices to make the game more interesting and challenging. While this is fair, I don't understand the decision to add RNG rolls on every encounter that essentially has more effect on the run than your skills at the combat system. The way it works is this: at almost every encounter you'll be given a few options. You might be asked to cross a river or to open a treasure chest. Once one of these options has been selected, the game highlights 4 cards, some marked with success or great success and some marked with failure and critical failure. The cards are then mixed and you have to choose one. The card you unveil then decides whether your action was successful or not. Success or great success often grants you character gold, a path to the way forward, food, or sometimes even random loot. Failures and critical failures punish you often heavily with injuries, curses, loss of gold, and even sometimes loss of important equipment. While it is sometimes possible to follow the success cards when the cards are mixed and as a result pick the right one due to you being extra perceptive, this is not always possible. The choice of card becomes sheer guesswork in these instances and all skill is removed from the equation. This system produces weird results. When you randomly pick success or great success, you feel a great sense of achievement, which leads to a smug self-gratification that is usually reserved to upper middle class people when their children eventually become doctors. However, when you randomly pick failure or god forbid critical failure, you might be keen to go into a fit of rage and subsequently produce a whole internet video about how RNG is the devil's butthole of video games. Not a pleasant thing, and certainly something you would want to minimize your interaction with. And this, in a sense, is my whole point. While this sort of system will always produce an emotional reaction out of your player, it is not something I would qualify as fun or engaging. In my opinion, Hand of Fate only gets away with this because of the incredible work that was put in the game's art, voice acting, and story encounters. Credit where credit is due, Hand of Fate has a certain charm that almost makes up for the lack of engaging decision making or interesting combat system. The choices you make in Hand of Fate are almost never driven by your skill, your better judgment, or your moral compass. Instead, your success at the game might as well be decided by dartboard. Clearly the RNG of Hand of Fate has been taken way too far, but at the same time it is not enough to condemn RNG as solely a bad thing, as some YouTubers and gamers are very keen on doing. The way I see it is this: RNG is like the word literally. Used in moderation and in the right context, it can make your sentences sound more intelligent, but used poorly and suddenly you go full leafy.
Literally.
Are you beginning to get my point? Without RNG, we wouldn't have games like FTL, Risk of Rain, Binding of Isaac, we wouldn't have any MMOs either, which, while it might be a worthy sacrifice in order to save the social life of countless basement dwellers the world over, it's not really ideal. Hyperbole aside, most games have RNG in some capacity, and while games like Hand of Fate and Hearthstone use it to a game-breaking degree, others use it to make great games. If I could leave game developers with any advice at the end of this video, it would be this: be very careful when you implement RNG into your games. If you take it too far, you might end up going full leafy, and you don't ever go full leafy.
You went full retard, man. Never go full retard.
So yeah, that was your daily piece of game development advice from a random YouTuber with 47 subscribers. Now this video is not all about me, although mostly since I have been doing most of the talking. I want to hear what you guys have to say. What are some games that used RNG well, and how do they do it? Leave it down below so I know you watched to this point. And yeah, I think that all about wraps me up, so I hope to see you all in the next video. Bye!